I have to protect myself. I have to go to court on Friday and actually be questioned about something I've never been charged with and something I was completely against. And so this is how far it's going. These leftists, these progressives who would they'd rather have the judge or bureaucrats making decisions instead of voters. They want to hand that over to them and not let the people in my district even have the right to vote for me. But no, the Republican Party needs to fight harder, Tucker. You know, there's something that I have learned, and I think this is really important. You know, if you can challenge any representative's candidacy or elected office holder, then I bet you we could round up some Republican voters who didn't like Kamala Harris funding criminal rioters out of jail, or Ilhan Omar, or Cori Bush, or Maxine Waters inciting riots. You know, I think there's another way to play this.
It's absurd what they are claiming and lying about, and they're going to allow the press in the courtroom. They're going to allow the whole thing to be videoed live out to go anywhere in the world they want to. And you know what that's going to look like? The Democrats and the nasty mainstream media, you know, the ones that lie about me constantly anyways, well, they're going to be able to twist and turn and clip out any little piece they want of the horrible things that these funded attorneys are going to try to say about me.
First of all, apparently former Trump lawyer Jenna Ellis has a show, which is news to me. I didn't think they gave you days off from traffic court, but I guess we learn something new every day. As for Marjorie Taylor Greene, thanks to a ruling by a federal judge, the Georgia lawmaker will appear before a Georgia state judge who will hear arguments from both her and the coalition of liberal groups seeking to disqualify her from the ballot, as that judge decides whether the Constitution's disqualification clause applies to Greene. Now, Greene had announced that she plans to appeal the ruling to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, but that won't happen before she appears before a state judge this week. The judge who had ruled against Greene said, quote, "This case involves a whirlpool of colliding constitutional interests of public import. Upon a thorough analysis of each of the claims asserted in this case, the court concludes that Greene has not carried her burden of persuasion with respect to this important and essential prerequisite to her demonstration of an entitlement to injunctive relief." Who could have guessed that Greene wouldn't exactly knock it out of the park while defending herself in court? Shocker. Now, let's get right to the important part here, and I promise that all of those defenders of the Constitution on the right are going to appreciate this, because this comes straight out of the US Constitution itself. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution says, quote, "No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or any executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof." And if you were wondering how she supported this insurrection, you might want to watch this.
America reelected Donald J. Trump for 4 more years. You can't allow it to just transfer power peacefully like Joe Biden wants and allow him to become our president, because he did not win this election. It's being stolen and the evidence is there. There's a large group of us. We're organizing an effort to object to the Electoral College votes for Joe Biden in key states where there's real evidence that this election has been stolen. I am very convicted in what we're going to be doing on January 6th, and it's historic, and I feel it's very, very important. On January 6th, if you're able, there are going to be possibly 1 million or more people coming to Washington to be there for this historic event. It's critical for everyone to show up and show the nation who we are. We aren't a people that are going to go quietly into the night. We are not a people that are going to be thrust into socialism without stopping it.
She said you can't allow it to transfer power peacefully, meaning she was endorsing the insurrection. She said it's critical to show up, meaning on January 6th. We aren't a people that are going to go quietly into the night. We're not a people that will be thrust into socialism without stopping it. And you know what happened on January 6th? exactly what Marjorie Taylor Greene intended and broadcast and incited. A mob showed up at the Capitol with exactly the intention of not allowing a peaceful transfer of power. So we don't have to wonder whether she engaged in insurrection because there is literally video evidence. And she posted it online herself because she was banking on the insurrection working. She staked her career on it, and because the insurrection failed, now she should lose that career. These are the consequences of her own actions, which is something I didn't think I needed to explain to the so-called party of personal responsibility. And look, I know the far-right lunatics who support her are going to look at this situation and wail about how the evil Democrats are trying to block people like Marjorie Taylor Greene from appearing on the ballot, and look how anti-democracy they are. But the fact is that this is democracy. We have a constitution in this country, and enumerated within that constitution is a section expressly, overtly, clearly forbidding elected officials from engaging in insurrection. Marjorie Taylor Greene engaged in insurrection. In fact, what would be dangerous here is failing to uphold the Constitution, because if we start picking and choosing which sections of that document we're willing to uphold, then that document as a whole becomes worthless. If we're to have any faith in our justice system, then it's imperative that Marjorie Taylor Greene be held accountable for what she did. And by the way, I say that knowing full well that this law already isn't being applied equally, because there are plenty of other members of Congress who supported the insurrection, like Mo Brooks and Madison Cawthorn, other members of the Senate who supported the insurrection, like Josh Hawley, who quite literally held his fist up in solidarity with the insurrectionists, and even the former President of the United States. The fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene is the only one currently at serious risk of not appearing on the ballot in November is a testament to how broken this country is as Republicans continue to put allegiance to party over country. And yet at the same time, just because other people aren't facing their due accountability doesn't mean that Greene should escape accountability too. So if there is any justice left, Marjorie Taylor Greene shouldn't supersede the Constitution, because despite all of the complaining that we're hearing from her, despite all of the finger pointing and excuses and conspiracy theories, just remember that at the end of the day, when it came to engaging in an insurrection as a member of Congress, in stark contrast to the United States Constitution, that was nobody's choice but her own. To see more videos like this, click the subscribe button right here on this screen. And if you want to support my work, subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. I cover the most important stories each week, and my guest is always one of the top political figures, including Vice President Kamala Harris, Jen Psaki, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Nancy Pelosi, Katie Porter, Cory Booker, and so many more. The podcast link is also right here on this screen, so give it a listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.